The day the aliens arrived changed everything. It was a clear morning in July 2089 when the massive ship appeared in Earth's orbit. After decades of searching the stars and sending signals into space, humanity finally had its answer. We were not alone. Commander Jack Miller stood straight in his crisp blue uniform as the shuttle prepared to dock with the United Earth Space Force's orbital station. His palms were sweaty, but his face remained calm. As leader of humanity's first diplomatic mission to the aliens who called themselves the Galactic Hegemony, he carried the weight of Earth's future on his shoulders. "Ready, Commander?" asked Susan White, the mission's chief engineer. Jack nodded. "As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens." The meeting chamber on the station had been prepared according to the alien specifications. The hegemony representatives entered with an air of superiority that was immediately apparent. Their leader, High Admiral Zexaforn, towered over the humans. His scaled skin shimmered with an iridescent glow under the lights, and his four eyes surveyed the room with obvious disdain. "We welcome you to Earth's space," Jack said, stepping forward with his hand extended in greeting. Zexaforn ignored the gesture. "Your species has made quite a noise in this sector. Primitive radio signals, crude spacecraft. We came to see if the rumors of intelligent life were true." Jack's smile faltered but didn't disappear. "We're eager to learn and share knowledge with our galactic neighbors." The alien made a sound like stones grinding together. A laugh, Jack realized. "Share knowledge. What could you possibly offer the hegemony? Your most advanced vessels can barely leave your own system. Your weapons are little more than rocks thrown through space." The meeting deteriorated from there. Instead of the cultural exchange humanity had hoped for, they received a lecture on their place in the galactic order, at the bottom. However, Zexaforn said as the meeting concluded, "The hegemony is not without mercy. We offer a gift to Earth." A smaller alien brought forward a container. When opened, it revealed a jumble of metallic components, crystalline structures, and devices that seemed broken or incomplete. "This is our technological waste," Zexaforn explained. "Components too outdated or damaged for our use. Perhaps you primitives can make toys from our scraps." The laughter of the aliens filled the chamber. Jack's face burned with humiliation, but he maintained his diplomatic composure. "We accept your generous gift," he managed to say. As the aliens departed, Susan approached the container, her eyes widening as she examined the contents. "Commander, you won't believe this," she whispered, holding up what looked like a damaged power cell. "This scrap is centuries beyond our technology." Later that day, in a secure conference room on Earth, Jack and Susan presented their findings to General Howard and the Security Council. "They're mocking us," Jack said. "They gave us their garbage as a show of dominance." Susan placed several components on the table. "But their garbage is our treasure. These power cells alone could revolutionize our energy grid. And this," she held up a twisted piece of metal, "I believe it's part of their faster-than-light drive." General Howard frowned. "Can we use it?" Susan nodded slowly. "With time and resources, yes. They don't think we can, and that's their mistake. They see these as broken pieces, but I see potential they've overlooked." The general's expression hardened with determination. "Then we'll use their mockery against them. I'm authorizing a new classified project, effective immediately." He looked directly at Jack and Susan. "You two will lead it. Build us a ship using this alien tech. Show them what humans can do with scraps." Jack straightened. "What should we call this project, sir?" General Howard thought for a moment, then said, "Project Phoenix. Because from these ashes of humiliation we'll rise." As they left the meeting, Susan whispered to Jack, "They think we're primitive because we're still learning. But that's our advantage. We know how to learn, how to adapt. They'd forgotten how." Jack nodded. The hegemony had made a critical error. They had underestimated humanity's greatest strength, turning disadvantage into opportunity. The mockery would not be forgotten, nor would it be forgiven. Instead, It would fuel the fire of human determination. Project Phoenix had begun. 3 years passed in the hidden facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. The sprawling underwater base had been built specifically for Project Phoenix, away from prying eyes both human and alien. The hegemony maintained a small outpost near Jupiter, but they rarely bothered to check on the primitives they had so easily dismissed. Susan White's office walls were covered with diagrams and schematics. Her eyes were tired from lack of sleep, but they still shone with excitement as she explained her latest discovery to Commander Jack Miller. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a small crystal component. "The hegemony uses this as a simple power regulator, but its atomic structure suggests it could do so much more." Jack leaned closer. "How much more?" "With the right modifications, it could amplify energy by a factor of 10. She smiled. "They're using advanced technology like a caveman, using a lighter to start fires, without understanding its true potential." This had become the pattern over the last 3 years. The team of Earth's brightest engineers and scientists had realized something crucial. The hegemony didn't truly understand their own technology. They merely copied designs from ancient civilizations they had conquered, following instructions without innovation. In the main construction bay, the ship was taking shape. From the outside, it looked almost crude, a deliberate choice. Inside, it was a marvel of human ingenuity combined with reverse-engineered alien tech. Alan Ross, the chief propulsion engineer, waved Jack and Susan over to his workstation. His hands were stained with grease, and his red beard couldn't hide his proud smile. "We've done it," he said. "The new engine design works. We combined their scrap drive components with our fusion technology and created something completely new." He showed them the test results. The hegemony ships can reach speeds we estimated at 20 light jumps. Our calculations show the Phoenix will hit 35, maybe 40. In another section of the facility, weapons specialist Olivia Grant was calibrating the targeting system. She wore a virtual reality headset connected to the ship's main computer. "The hegemony targeting relies on predictable patterns," she explained when Jack asked about her progress. "But space combat isn't predictable. We've rewritten the entire system to adapt in real time, learning from each shot." Jack watched the simulation on her screen. The virtual Phoenix fired with precision that the alien systems couldn't match. "They think in straight lines," Olivia said, removing her headset. "We think in circles, curves, and chaos. That's our advantage." That evening, Jack met with General Howard in the secure conference room. The old general had aged visibly under the stress of keeping the project secret while managing Earth's official relations with the hegemony. "How soon?" the general asked. 2 months, Jack replied. "The hull is complete. The systems are being integrated now. We're ahead of schedule." The general nodded. "Good. The hegemony ambassador has become more demanding lately. They want access to our mineral resources on Mars. They're losing patience with our delays." Jack's jaw tightened. 2 months, sir. Then we show them what humanity can do. Later, Jack walked alone through the ship. The corridors were still being finished, but he could already feel its potential. This vessel represented the best of humanity, not just their technology, but their spirit. In the bridge area, he found Susan running diagnostics on the main control systems. She looked up as he entered. "What should we name her?" Susan asked. "Officially, I mean. We can't keep calling it the ship or Project Phoenix." Jack ran his hand along the smooth metal of what would become the captain's chair. He thought about what this ship represented. Humanity's refusal to accept the hegemony's judgment, their rise from mockery to strength. "US Phoenix," he said finally. "Because that's what we're doing, rising from the ashes they left us." Susan nodded. "US Phoenix it is." As they stood in the bridge, the lights from the diagnostic systems reflected off the walls like distant stars. Soon, those lights would be real. Soon, the Phoenix would fly among them, carrying humanity's answer to those who had laughed at them. The countdown to launch had begun. Launch day arrived with a mix of tension and excitement. The underwater bay doors opened slowly, revealing the dark Pacific waters above. The U.S. Phoenix floated in the massive chamber, its outer hull deliberately rough and patched-looking. This was intentional. Beneath the crude exterior lay technology that would shock the hegemony. Captain Lisa Barnes stood on the bridge, her new uniform crisp and her expression determined. At 42, she had been chosen to command the Phoenix for her mix of caution and boldness. Commander Jack Miller would serve as her second-in-command, while Susan White had insisted on joining the crew as chief engineer. "All systems ready, Captain," said the young navigation officer, Pete Martinez. Lisa took a deep breath. "Begin launch sequence." The Phoenix rose silently through the water, creating barely a ripple as it broke the surface. Its stealth systems, developed from a broken hegemony cloaking device, hid it from most scanning technologies. Only the highest military officials knew the ship was launching today. "Engage atmospheric thrusters," Lisa ordered. The ship climbed into the sky, moving faster than any Earth vessel before it. The crew felt barely any movement thanks to the gravity systems Susan had designed. Within minutes, they had left Earth's atmosphere. "All systems functioning at optimal levels," Susan reported from her station. "The power core is stable. We're ready for full propulsion." Lisa nodded. "Let's see what this ship can do. Set course for lunar orbit." The Phoenix accelerated smoothly. On the main screen, Earth quickly shrank in size. What would have taken conventional Earth ships hours took the Phoenix minutes. As they settled into lunar orbit, Communications Officer Ryan Clark spoke up. "Captain, I'm detecting transmissions from the hegemony outpost near Jupiter. Standard monitoring signals." Jack moved to stand beside Lisa's chair. "They maintain that outpost to keep an eye on us. Minimum crew, maximum arrogance." Lisa considered for a moment, then smiled. "Let's give them something to see. Set course for the outer solar system. Let's introduce ourselves." The Phoenix shot forward again, much faster this time. The stars blurred on the view screen. In less than an hour, they approached the region where the hegemony had established their small outpost, a station orbiting one of Jupiter's moons. "They've detected us," Ryan reported. "They're sending warning signals. Primitive vessel, you have exceeded your authorized travel zone. Return to Earth immediately." "Open a channel," Lisa ordered. When Ryan nodded, she spoke clearly. "Hegemony Outpost, this is Captain Lisa Barnes of the United Earth vessel U.S. Phoenix. We're conducting a test flight through our home system." The response was immediate. A haughty alien voice replied, "Earth vessels are restricted to inter-system operations. Return immediately or face consequences." Lisa signaled to Jack, who nodded to the helm. "Let's show them a flyby." The Phoenix accelerated again, passing the hegemony station at a speed that made the alien structure seem frozen in space. They could see frantic activity through the station's windows. "They're trying to lock weapons," the tactical officer called out. "Evasive pattern," Lisa ordered calmly. "Nothing fancy, just enough to show them." The Phoenix danced around the clumsy tracking of the hegemony weapons, moving with grace that seemed impossible for its size. The alien weapons couldn't lock onto the ship's position. "They're hailing us again," Ryan said. "They sound upset." The alien commander's face appeared on screen, his four eyes blinking rapidly in what Jack recognized as shock. "How did you primitives build such a vessel?" "Our scans show technology beyond your capabilities." Lisa smiled. "We used your generous gift. Amazing what humans can do with a pile of scrap, isn't it?" Before the alien could respond, she nodded to the helm. "Engage jump drive." The stars on the view screen stretched and blurred as the Phoenix did what the hegemony had deemed impossible for humans. It jumped to faster-than-light speed. The last image they saw was the alien commander's face twisted in disbelief. As the Phoenix soared away from the solar system, the crew broke into cheers. Lisa exchanged a satisfied look with Jack. "That was just the beginning," she said quietly. They don't know what's coming. 6 months passed. The U.S. Phoenix now patrolled the edge of Earth's solar system like a silent guardian. Its crew had settled into efficient routines, and the ship had proven even more capable than its designers had hoped. Captain Lisa Barnes sat in her command chair, reviewing reports from Earth. The hegemony had increased their diplomatic pressure after the Phoenix's demonstration, demanding explanations and making thinly veiled threats. So far, Earth's leaders had managed to delay and deflect, buying time for more ships to be built using the Phoenix's designs. "Captain," Ryan called from his communication station, "I'm picking up a distress signal." Lisa looked up. Source: non-hegemony vessel. About 2 light hours beyond Neptune's orbit. Ryan adjusted his controls. "The signal is weak, but I'm detecting weapons fire." Jack Miller, who had been checking systems with Susan, returned to the bridge. "Hegemony ships." Ryan nodded. 3 cruisers according to the signal. They're attacking what appears to be a civilian vessel. Lisa stood. "Set course to intercept. Maximum speed." The Phoenix jumped to FTL, covering the distance in minutes. When they dropped back to normal space, the situation became clear on their view screen. 3 hegemony warships surrounded a smaller vessel, their weapons causing the smaller ship's shields to flicker dangerously. "Scan the civilian ship," Lisa ordered. "It's Trilari design," reported P from navigation. "Life signs aboard. They're in bad shape." Jack frowned. "The Trilari. I remember them from our briefings. They were one of the first species conquered by the hegemony." "Hegemony ships are hailing the vessel," Ryan said. "They're demanding surrender. They're accusing the Trilari of smuggling freedom literature." Lisa's expression hardened. "Open a channel to the hegemony vessels." When Ryan nodded, she spoke clearly. "Hegemony ships, this is Captain Lisa Barnes of the U.S. Phoenix. We request you cease your attack on the civilian vessel immediately." The response came quickly. A hegemony commander appeared on screen, his scaled face showing surprise before shifting to disdain. "Human vessel, this is not your concern. This criminal ship violated hegemony law. Leave the area immediately." Lisa looked at Jack, who nodded. "We will not stand by while you attack civilians in neutral space." The hegemony commander's eyes narrowed. "Then you will share their fate." The transmission cut off. "They're redirecting weapons toward us," called out the tactical officer. "All 3 ships." Lisa remained calm. "Evasive maneuvers. Power to shields." The Phoenix moved with incredible speed, avoiding the first barrage of hegemony weapons. One shot grazed their shields, causing the lights to flicker briefly. "Their targeting systems are predictable," Jack observed, just as Olivia said. Lisa nodded. "We don't want to destroy them." "Susan, do you have a way to disable their ships without killing the crews?" Susan, who had joined them on the bridge, smiled. "Their shield frequencies. I can match our weapons to disrupt their systems without penetrating their hulls." "Do it," Lisa ordered. The Phoenix danced around the 3 hegemony ships, which were now trying unsuccessfully to coordinate their attack. Susan worked with the weapons team, adjusting the frequencies with each shot. The first hegemony cruiser suddenly went dark, its engines shutting down. The second soon followed. The third tried to jump away but froze mid-preparation. All 3 vessels disabled, the tactical officer reported. "Their life support is still functioning, but weapons, engines, and communications are offline." Ryan's console beeped. "Captain, the Trilari ship is hailing us." The alien that appeared on screen was thin, with pale blue skin and large eyes. "Human vessel, we thank you for your intervention." The hegemony would have shown no mercy. "We couldn't stand by," Lisa replied. "Do you require assistance?" "Our ship can be repaired," the Trilari captain said. "But this rescue, it will not be forgotten. Word will spread through the quiet channels the humans stand against hegemony cruelty." As the Trilari ship limped away to safety, Jack stood beside Lisa. "The hegemony won't forget this either." Lisa watched the disabled hegemony ships on the view screen. Good. It's time they learned humans aren't to be underestimated. The Phoenix turned and jumped back toward Earth, leaving the hegemony ships adrift. A message that would soon spread throughout the galaxy. The message arrived 3 weeks after the incident with the Trilleri ship. Earth's diplomatic office received a formal summons from the Galactic Hegemony Council. The humans were ordered to appear and answer for what the hegemony called an unprovoked attack on peacekeeping vessels. In the Phoenix's briefing room, the senior staff gathered around the table. Jack Miller, now promoted to admiral, stood at the head of the table beside General Howard, who had aged visibly under the stress of recent events. "We knew this was coming," General Howard said. "The hegemony can't ignore what happened. Their authority depends on absolute control. And we can't ignore the summons," Admiral Kelly Rodriguez added. She had been chosen to represent Earth at the Council. "If we don't appear, they'll use it as an excuse for military action against Earth." Jack nodded. "Then we go. But not humbly. And not alone." He turned to Lisa. "The Phoenix will transport Admiral Rodriguez to the hegemony capital." Then Hall, Earth's diplomatic advisor, spoke up. "I've been studying hegemony law. Their system has flaws we can exploit. They're so confident in their superiority that they've grown sloppy." 2 days later, the Phoenix jumped toward the hegemony capital world. Ben spent the journey working with Kelly, preparing their defense and studying every detail of hegemony protocols. Susan and her engineering team worked around the clock, making small adjustments to the ship's systems. "Just in case we need to leave quickly," Susan explained with a wink. When they arrived at the hegemony capital, a massive ringed planet surrounded by defensive platforms, they received immediate docking instructions. "They're trying to guide us to a military dock," Ryan reported from communications. "Their tractor systems would lock us in place." Lisa shook her head. "Decline. Inform them we'll dock at the diplomatic port, as is our right under Hegemony Law Section 47. The delay in the hegemony's response told them Ben's research had paid off. They couldn't deny the diplomatic protocols without undermining their own legal system. When Admiral Rodriguez and Ben entered the council chamber, they discovered the proceedings had already begun. High Admiral Zexavorn stood at the center, his voice booming through the vast hall where representatives from dozens of worlds sat in tiered seats. "Earth has violated the natural order," Zexavorn was saying. "Their actions prove they are too dangerous to remain independent. I propose immediate occupation of their world and seizure of their technology." Ben stepped forward. "Point of order, High Council." The chamber fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes turned toward the humans. "What is the meaning of this interruption?" demanded the council head, an ancient hegemony elder. "Hegemony law requires all accused be present before judgment is discussed," Ben stated calmly. "We have just arrived, yet you began without us. This violates your own sacred procedures." Murmurs spread through the chamber. The council head shifted uncomfortably. "The human speaks correctly," admitted a representative from a world Ben didn't recognize. "Procedure must be followed." Zexvorn's scales darkened with anger. "Very well. The humans may present their defense, though it will change nothing. The Phoenix must be surrendered and Earth will accept hegemony governance." Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. "Before we address the incident, we request permission to present evidence relevant to these proceedings." When granted, she activated a small device. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, footage of the original meeting years ago, when Zexavorn had mockingly given Earth the gift of technological scraps. "Perhaps you primitives can make toys from our waste," Zexavorn's recorded voice echoed through the chamber. Rodriguez paused the recording. "We did make something from your waste, High Admiral. We made progress." She then played recordings from the disabled hegemony cruisers, showing them firing on the Trilleri civilian vessel. The chamber grew louder as representatives from other worlds began to speak among themselves. A tall, thin alien stood. "I am Representative Jariel of the Velduran Cluster. My question is simple. Why were hegemony warships attacking civilians for possessing literature? Another joined in. The Jora Confederation has reported similar peacekeeping in our territory. The chamber descended into chaos as more representatives began sharing stories of hegemony abuses. The council head banged his staff for order, but the dam had broken. In the confusion, Ben received an urgent message from the Phoenix. Hegemony forces moving to blockade our ship. They plan to seize it. Rodriguez nodded to Ben. It was time for a tactical retreat. Admiral Rodriguez and Ben slipped out of the council chamber during the uproar. They moved quickly through the crowded corridors of the hegemony capital station, avoiding the security forces that were now actively searching for them. Lisa says the Phoenix is ready, Ben whispered, checking his communicator. They had blocked the main docks, but Susan found a maintenance exit we can use. They reached the docking area, just as a squad of hegemony guards rounded the corner. The guards raised their weapons, but Rodriguez and Ben were faster, diving through the airlock. The Phoenix's engines were already humming to life. Go, Rodriguez shouted as they reached the bridge. Lisa didn't hesitate. The Phoenix pulled away from the station, its shields deflecting the weak security weapons that fired after them. 6 hegemony warships moving to intercept, Ryan reported from his station. They're blocking the main jump points. Lisa smiled. They think they know what we're capable of. Susan, is the modified jump drive ready? Susan nodded from engineering. Ready, Captain. Short jumps only, but they won't be able to track us. Execute, Lisa ordered. The Phoenix vanished, reappearing moments later behind one of the capital's moons. Before the hegemony ships could react, they jumped again and again, making a series of short, unpredictable jumps that confused the hegemony tracking systems. Within minutes, they had cleared the system entirely. Set course for the rendezvous coordinates, Rodriguez ordered once they were safe. Jack looked at her with raised eyebrows. Rendezvous. Rodriguez smiled. During the council session, several representatives sent coded messages. They want to meet. 3 days later, the Phoenix arrived at an unmarked point in space, far from any charted systems. They waited, weapons ready in case of a trap. One by one, 5 ships appeared around them, each from a different species. A message came through on a secure channel. Human vessel, this is Kivna of the Trilari. We remember your kindness. We come in friendship. Rodriguez, Jack, and Lisa met the representatives in the Phoenix's conference room. Security Chief Eric Grant carefully scanned each visitor before allowing them aboard, but his precautions proved unnecessary. These aliens had not come to fight. The hegemony has ruled through fear for too long, said Kivna, the Trilari they had saved. But we lack the military technology to stand against them. We've been building resistance for decades, added the Velderan representative, a tall being with silver skin. But we need help to take the final steps. Susan joined the meeting, bringing samples of the modified hegemony technology. We can show you what we've learned, she offered, how we reworked their cast-offs into something better. The aliens examined the technology with wonder. They said humans were primitive, the Jori representative murmured. But you understand technology in ways the hegemony never has. Over the next hours, they formed a plan. The Trilari would provide hidden bases where more ships could be built. The Velderans offered advanced medical technology in exchange for weapons upgrades. The Jori shared detailed star maps showing hegemony weak points and supply lines. We need a formal alliance, Rodriguez said, something to unite our efforts. The Sovereign Star Confederation, suggested Jack. Free worlds working together instead of conquering each other. Each representative agreed, placing their hands together in the center of the table in a gesture of unity that transcended their different biologies. As the meeting concluded, the Jori representative's communication device chimed. His expression darkened as he read the message. The hegemony has learned of our meeting, he said. High Admiral Zexaforn has assembled their largest battle fleet. They're calling it the Disciplinary Force. Lisa and Jack exchanged concerned looks. Earth had only the Phoenix and 2 smaller vessels. built from the same technology. The other species had limited military capabilities. "They're coming to Earth," the jury continued. "Zex Vorn has promised to make an example of the humans who dared to challenge hegemony dominance." Admiral Rodriguez stood tall. "Then we need to work fast. How quickly can we upgrade your ships with our technology?" 3 months, Susan estimated after quick calculations. "If we all work together." "Then we have 3 months," Rodriguez declared, "to prepare our answer to the hegemony." 3 months passed in a blur of activity. On hidden bases throughout nearby systems, human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, upgrading ships with the innovations Susan and her team had developed. The Phoenix shuttled between Earth and the Alliance bases, carrying supplies and personnel. When the hegemony fleet arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system, it was a terrifying sight. Over 200 warships moved in perfect formation, led by High Admiral Zexivorn's massive flagship. From the bridge of his vessel, Zexivorn broadcast his message to Earth. "Primitive humans, your rebellion ends today. Surrender the Phoenix and accept hegemony rule, or we will reduce your cities to ash." On Earth, people gathered around screens, watching the message with fear. But strangely, no human ships rose to meet the threat. The skies above Earth remained empty. "Where are they hiding?" Zexivorn demanded of his officers. "Scan the planet." "No sign of the Phoenix, High Admiral," his second-in-command reported. "No defensive fleet detected." Zexivorn's scales darkened with suspicion. "Move the fleet closer. Prepare the first wave off." "Sir," interrupted his sensor officer, "something is appearing behind us." The space behind the hegemony fleet suddenly filled with ships. The Phoenix led the formation, but it was no longer alone. Dozens of vessels from 5 different species moved in coordinated patterns that the hegemony had never seen before. "This is Captain Lisa Barnes of the U.S. Phoenix," came the transmission to the hegemony fleet. "And these are our friends." On the Phoenix's bridge, Lisa stood tall in her command chair. Jack and Admiral Rodriguez flanked her, while Susan monitored the ship's systems from engineering. "Open the channel to all ships," Lisa ordered. Ryan nodded, and she continued. "You mocked us with scrap. We've turned that mockery into your defeat. You have one chance to withdraw." Zexivorn's laughter came through the speakers. "You think a few dozen ships can stand against the might of the hegemony? Your primitive minds cannot grasp the power we command." Lisa nodded to Jack. "Execute Battle Plan Phoenix." The Alliance ships suddenly accelerated in ways the hegemony computers couldn't predict. They moved between the hegemony vessels before they could coordinate their fire. The Phoenix led the charge, heading straight for Zexivorn's flagship. "Their shields are operating on standard hegemony frequencies," Susan reported. "Our disruptors will work against all of them." The battle erupted across the solar system. The Alliance ships were outnumbered, but their upgraded systems gave them advantages the hegemony couldn't counter. They targeted engines and weapons, disabling rather than destroying when possible. The Phoenix danced through enemy fire, its systems working perfectly. Lisa directed their assault with calm precision, targeting key hegemony command ships to disrupt their chain of command. "Phoenix is in position," Jack announced. "We have a clear shot at Zexivorn's flagship." Lisa nodded. "Target their command center only. Minimal yield." The Phoenix's main weapons fired, punching through the flagship's shields with ease. The massive hegemony vessel drifted, its lights flickering as systems failed. Within 2 hours, the battle had turned. Dozens of hegemony ships floated powerless. Others had surrendered when they saw the tide turning. Some had fled, carrying word of the defeat back to the hegemony capital. A boarding party led by Jack and Eric Grant secured Zexivorn's flagship. They brought the High Admiral to the Phoenix's bridge in restraints. Zexivorn looked around in shock at the human and alien crew working together. "How?" he demanded. "How could you primitives accomplish this?" Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward. "Because we don't just use technology. We understand it. We don't just follow. We innovate." Jack nodded. You gave us scraps and expected submission. Instead, we built a future where your hegemony is just another chapter in history. Lisa turned to the communication station. Send the message to all hegemony worlds. The age of the Sovereign Star Confederation has begun. As the Phoenix led the Alliance fleet toward the stars, the crew gathered on the observation deck. Earth shone like a blue jewel behind them, now safer than it had ever been. Not bad for scrap, Susan said with a smile. Jack put his hand on her shoulder. Not bad at all. And we're just getting started.